Okay, so there was about 200 Irishmen, and they were starving to death in Ireland in 1845. And they were denied the right to celebrate their faith because they were Catholic. We were under English rule, we were slaves in our own country, so they sailed across to America, and when they got to America, they joined the United States Army. But unbeknownst to them, the United States Army would go on to deny them their First Amendment rights. It was unconstitutional, it was against the very First Amendment. They denied them the right to celebrate their faith because they were Catholic. These Irishmen, they abandoned the United States Army. They rode all the way down to Texas. They swam across the Great Rio Grande River into Mexico to go to church to celebrate their faith. It was their God-given right. The United States Army was pissed. War was declared, and they started burning down Mexican Catholic churches. And these 200 Irishmen formed a battalion called Battalion Irlandés de San Patricios, and they went against thousands and thousands of soldiers. And over the next course of a year and a half, they became legendary. They were in 5 major battles. They became so famous that African American slaves and Native American Indians came to the aid of the San Patricios, and even a convent of Mexican nuns took pity on this Irish battalion because they had no flag of their own, and they made a flag for this battalion. And Santa Anna, who was the leader of the entire Mexican army, he ordered this Irish battalion to help save the retreating Mexican army, and they did. But they wanted to save this convent because of these nuns in Churubusco, and it still stands today that they existed. But because they surrounded it and saved the convent, they got surrounded by the entire United States Army, and they were finally captured. And they wanted to make an example of these brave men to the people of Mexico. And to this day, it's the single biggest mass hanging in United States military history. They hung 50 of the San Patricios. Julius S. Grant, who participated in some of these battles, would go on to be the President of the United States of America. And on his deathbed, he said it was the most unjust war ever waged by a greater nation on a lesser nation. Abraham Lincoln was a senator at the time, and he would go on to lose his next election because he opposed this war. The United States Army denied the existence and what they did to the San Patricios for over 60 years, until in 1916, the United States Congress forced the United States Army to admit what they unlawfully did to 50 Irishmen. On the 10th of September 1847, they hung 20 of the San Patricios, but they kept 30 of them alive for the final and greatest battle, and that is for the Battle of Chapultepec Castle, which overlooks and protects Mexico City. If that castle falls, Mexico will be on its knees, and Mexico will go on to lose over 2/3 of its country. Winfield Scott ordered the San Patricios to be hung the moment the Mexican flag is taken at Chapultepec Castle. There was 800 Mexican soldiers against 2,200 soldiers. The Mexican soldiers held on for a little over 2 hours. Finally, they were forced to surrender to a greater and more powerful nation. And all that was left to do was to hang the San Patricios. And then a miracle happened. There were 6 Mexican children. They were known as the Los Niños Heroes, the boy heroes of Mexico. They wouldn't surrender the flag of their country to the entire United States Army because they knew they were going to hang the San Patricios. And one of the first boys to be killed, his name was Francisco Marquez. He was 13 years of age, and he is born where we only hand source ripe mature agave. We source our agave from nowhere else in Mexico in honor of that boy who defended that Irish battalion and died, never surrendering the flag of his country. They killed 4 more. There was one boy left. His name was Juan Escutia, and he wouldn't surrender the flag. He took the flag, he wrapped it around his body, and instead of surrendering it to the United States of America, he jumped from the top of Chapultepec Castle with the flag wrapped in his body. And as he was falling to his death, these Irishmen were cheering and celebrating him on because they got to watch and witness a boy never surrender the flag of his country. And exactly 100 years later, the President of the United States of America, Harry S. Truman, he flew down to Mexico with 22,000 American soldiers. He laid a wreath at the monument to these fallen heroes. An American reporter had the audacity to ask the President of the United States, he said, "Mr. Truman, Mr. President, why? Why would you do such a thing?" And the President looked him in the eye and he said, "Brave men and boys, they belong to no one country. I honor bravery wherever I see it. thus acknowledging and accepting and taking responsibility what happened to 50 Irishmen who died defending the flag of another nation, and 6 Mexican boys who died never surrendering the flag of their country. And every Monday morning in every single school all over Mexico, every single child at the same time must go out and point at the flag of Mexico in honor of these heroes, that their story will never be forgotten. And we make Irlandés Tequila, which is the first spirit in the world that unites. It unites Ireland and Mexico. We hand source the water from a sacred well in Ireland. We take it 5,202 miles all the way down to Irlandés, Los Altos. We only source ripe, mature agave from only one place, and we use French natural yeast because it brings out the full flavor profile of the agave. We get to drink history and celebrate 2 amazing countries united. God bless. Viva la Mexico, Erin Garra.